This is CBN NewsWatch.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm George Thomas. We begin with the latest in the coronavirus pandemic. The number of cases here in the U.S. still climbing in many parts of the country. More than 1,000 lives lost in the last 24 hours, 58% in the South. This as an alarming new report from the CDC estimates the number of people infected by COVID-19 in the first few months of the pandemic is likely to be 10 times higher than previously thought.
A lot of people have gotten infected from this virus, but were never diagnosed, partly because we didn't have very good testing, and partly because some people just have very mild disease. What this study shows is that this virus has probably infected 30 to 40 million Americans.
The number of confirmed cases in California surpassing New York to become the state with the most infections. Texas and Florida following close behind with new evidence the risk the virus is having on children and babies. In North Texas, get this, 433 babies testing positive in the 5 largest counties. Despite the number of infections in young people, CDC Director Robert Redfield says he believes schools can now reopen. And be sure to tune into Faith Nation this evening for the latest from our nation's capital on this national, in fact, international crisis, including another potential relief package as COVID-19 shows no signs of going away. As always, folks, you can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel. Planned Parenthood of Greater New York is taking the name of the founder of the organization, Margaret Sanger, off its clinic in Manhattan because of her support for the eugenics movement. That comes after more than 350 current and former staffers calling Sanger, quote, a racist white woman. Pro-life leaders have been arguing that the organization was built on a racial eugenics, the idea that humanity can be improved by selective breeding, an ideology that can be harmful to the disabled, the poor, and people of color. Planned Parenthood has long disputed charges that Sanger was racist, but now it appears to be admitting to Sanger's record. Joining us now for more is the niece of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Alveda King of Priests for Life. As always, pleasure to have you on the broadcast, ma'am. You say the move by Planned Parenthood of Greater New York to remove Ms. Sanger's name is just window dressing. What do you mean by that?
George, when we consider that the whole organization was founded on racist underpinning, that there was one race of humans more superior to others, when in fact Acts 17:26 says, of one blood God created all people, so we are one human race. Margaret Sanger sought what was an Aryan race, thinking that that was more perfect and the most desirable race. And she ignored the fact that we are all human beings and one race. Now, to remove her name off of the organization is window dressing if Planned Parenthood will not address the mission of Planned Parenthood, where most of those Planned Parenthood facilities, they call them clinics, but they're not really clinics because they kill people, are in neighborhoods either highly populated by African Americans or people who are disadvantaged economically. Mm-hmm. And so the mission will continue with or without Margaret Sanger's name on the package unless Planned Parenthood really means to stop killing people by abortion.
Yeah. Ms. King, you know this. Pro-lifers have been saying for years that Planned Parenthood was racist. I'm curious, why do you think they've decided to come to terms with Sanger's racist legacy now?
I am not very sure, but I believe that in America and around the world, people are waking up to the fact that there's one human race, not separate races. We're not colorblind. We can see skin color. Of course we can. However, we want to celebrate ethnicity, not divide because of ethnicity. And I think that with that current voice, and even the people who work for Planned Parenthood are probably understanding that to have as your founder so prominently displayed who was a racist and a white supremacist, that's not going to work.
Yeah, it's widely known that Sanger wanted to exterminate blacks, and in fact today Planned Parenthood clinics are mostly located in minority neighborhoods. Talk about that for a second.
Most of the facilities are located in neighborhoods with a high population of African Americans and Latinos, and certainly people who are having economic challenges. And by nature of the fact that the recommendation most of the time is solve your problems by getting an abortion. Planned Parenthood has not admitted that abortions hurt women's bodies related to breast cancer, cervical cancer, also to the mental health of women. They've not admitted that yet. So we want to see if they are sincere, or if they think just by removing Margaret Sanger's name and picture or something like that, they can continue with that terrible system, that terrible record of killing babies, sometimes killing the mothers, and making health problems for the mothers.
Yeah, last few seconds, ma'am. Planned Parenthood of Greater New York says this change reflects the first of many organizational shifts to address Sanger's legacy and system of institutional racism. What do you hope going forward happens now?
I really want to know if Planned Parenthood is sincere, if they plan to stop aborting human beings and hurting the bodies of the mothers.
Ms. King, always a pleasure to have you on our broadcast. Alveda King of the great organization Priests for Life. See you back on the broadcast soon, please, okay?
All right, thank you.
Okay, ciao.
Bye.
The U.S. has ordered China to close its consulate in Houston, Texas within 72 hours. The State Department said the closing is due to massive illegal spying and influence operations. After the announcement, smoke was seen rising from the courtyard inside the consulate. Employees apparently burning documents in trash barrels. A Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesperson condemned the U.S. action, calling it an unprecedented escalation. Triple-digit heat is scorching the East Coast and endangering lives. Plus, a heat dome now forming over the Midwest is set to bring soaring temperatures by the weekend. In this extreme heat, could your air conditioner potentially spread COVID-19? Charlene Aaron has the story.
The heat is on here in Virginia Beach, Virginia, where the temperatures are well beyond 100 degrees, and the heat index is expected to top 109. Many have flocked to the beach to try and stay cool and beat the heat. Still, officials urge people to use caution. The sweltering heat has tourists battling the sun and scorching sand as part of a week-long heat wave across the country.
I'm very excited to get in the water. It's been really bad. I've gotten very sunburnt, but the water's been the best relief so far.
We just want to get away, get out of the heat for a little bit, go down, enjoy the waves and the water.
Along the East Coast, high heat and humidity have made it feel well over 100 degrees in several cities. Philadelphia's heat index reached 105, while Washington, D.C. recently felt like 108 and 110 in New Jersey. In our nation's capital, officials activated a heat emergency, temporarily pausing outdoor public COVID-19 testing sites. Heat advisories are also up for parts of the Carolinas, up into the mid-Atlantic, affecting nearly 70 million people.
Well, we've seen a little break in the heat across the northeastern United States. A weak front is drifting its way down to the south. It's still warm, but the air is drier and it is more tolerable. But as we head farther south, it's the same old, same old. It's hot and it's humid, and it's dangerously hot too. We've had heat advisories and excessive heat warnings in effect. So what's that mean? It means slow down, reduce your levels of activity, hydrate, try and stay inside in the air conditioning. Experts warn the use of AC could help COVID-19 spread.
It's blowing the virus in a specific pattern, and you're downwind of somebody indoors, then it could blow it farther than 6 feet.
With temperatures across the country skyrocketing, infectious disease doctors encourage people to open doors and windows and run the fan mode for a few hours before and after visitors. Experts also urging people to replace existing air conditioning filters with a compatible one that removes the most particles. This as extreme heat is expected for the Southwest later this week, with temperatures also reaching triple digits. Charlene Aaron, CBN News.
Coming up, how one organization is stepping up to combat sex trafficking. But before we go to the break, here's a look at what's trending on CBNNews.com.
Having sex before you marry is a bad idea.
Don't tell me there's no such thing as gun violence.
That just depends on your definition of when life begins.
Watch Dan and Dale tackle trending topics that test your faith on the next Faith Wire, Monday night at 9:30. The Global Lane takes you around the world, providing facts over fiction.
What might rising trade and geopolitical tensions mean for you on the home front?
With over 45 years of experience, award-winning journalist Gary Lane brings you the truth from a global angle.
What about the issue of immigration?
World news analysis you won't see anywhere else.
And it's all right here on the Global Lane.
Watch The Global Lane, Thursday night at 9:30.
Welcome back, folks. You're watching the CBN News Channel. Christian companies and organizations are coming together to stand up against online child porn and sex trafficking. More than 1 million people have signed a petition urging authorities to shut down Pornhub, the most popular pornographic website in the world. Timothy Plan has announced an employee-driven initiative to support the campaign. Joining us now with more is founder Art Ali. Art, great to have you back on the broadcast. Tell us what can you tell us about how Pornhub is involved in child trafficking?
Oh my goodness, George, good to be back on with you. And we've got the two biggest issues in the United States, in my opinion, back to back, with abortion and now human trafficking. Pornhub feeds a sickness, an addicted sickness in people that I think doesn't slow down but speed up this human trafficking. What a horrible, horrible thing. We just got to step up and say no more, enough. I mean, when kids are being snatched off the streets and sold as sex slaves into human trafficking, we got a serious problem in America. As for us, you know, what we do, we are a biblically based mutual fund family. And one of our employees stepped up and said, you know what, there's a petition going around on human trafficking that is being fed by Pornhub. What a horrible, horrible thing to be allowed to be on the internet. And if our employees wanted to make contributions to, and the ministry running that is Exodus Cry, would I be willing to double match their contributions? So I was proud of our people. Fits exactly what we do at Timothy. And we did just that.
Yeah.
But Pornhub, I mean, my goodness.
How does Pornhub get away with explicit content, including children and minors? How do they do that?
I'm telling you, George, anything goes today in this culture. And the people of faith that have any sort of a moral compass need to stand up and say enough is enough. You know, I'm not sure where this petition is going, but every viewer and listener to this program needs to go to traffickinghub.org petition.com and sign on that thing. We have got to stop. My goodness, can you imagine the tragedy of being snatched off from parents' heartaches to the kids themselves, sold into slavery, and sites like Pornhub, which is the worst, I believe, are doing nothing but feeding that sickness, that addicted sickness that people have in pornography. It is a stain on our nation, second only to pornography, in my view. Only to abortion, in my view. And it has to stop. And until we all step up, it isn't going to stop.
Sure. To that point, is it enough, Art, to get the site shut down, or does further action need to be taken past that?
Well, first thing we need to do is change our leadership in America, not the president, but Congress. We need people up there that have a moral compass. We don't have that now. We've got a bunch of self-serving politicians, and it's becoming more and more obvious. If we get people with a moral compass in our leadership roles, they can shut this stuff down. They need to shut this stuff down. Yeah. When I was growing, you can see I'm an older guy now. When I was growing up, they did take control of the airwaves, and now the internet. It can be done, but it isn't going to be done unless the voters of America that have some value step up and vote some of these people out of office and get people that really care about returning America to its moral foundations. Get them elected, they can then step up and put an end to this nonsense. Okay. But, you know, the lack of that, this petition is a good start to show. I mean, what do we have, 1 million so far? It needs to be 100 million people signing this thing.
Yeah. Art, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Folks, still ahead, a familiar face stars alongside Tom Hanks in the new World War II film Greyhound. You'll meet the young man with an incredible film career and an amazing story. We're sitting down with Grayson Russell.
The home front.
Thanks for joining us for CBN's On the Home Front, where we highlight what the men and women of America's military do to defend our country. CBN honors the men and women in our military with an initiative called Helping the Home Front. It partners with churches across the country to meet the needs of their military families, from repairing homes to wiping out medical bills for wounded veterans.
On the Home Front, Tuesday morning at 10:30.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government.
My focus has been trying to really make sure we have the future leaders we need for the bench and the bar and for society generally.
You'll learn from highly credentialed leaders who are current and former judges, distinguished scholars, and ACLJ counsel.
I'm so glad I chose Regent. The relationships here have been amazing. The faculty have been amazing. Not everybody's called to the same thing when they leave law school, but they're called by a God who has a purpose for their lives, and He is going to use that education to make a difference in the world.
Regent will prepare you to be a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer. To start your rewarding law career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July. Apply today.
And welcome back to the CBN News Channel. Greyhound is Tom Hanks' new film. He's written and stars in the World War II dramatic action film inspired by real-life events. Playing alongside Hanks is a young Christian actor, Grayson Russell. He's just about to graduate college, but he's already enjoyed a long film career. Studio 5's Ephraim Graham has more.
Huffed Up reports a German transmission bearing 087 degrees, range 15 to 20 miles.
Greyhound, how did you come to the film, and what do you think of the story now that people are about to see it?
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I was 19 when we filmed it, and I'm just turned 22 a couple months ago. So it's been a long time coming. I remember literally falling to the ground in my grandparents' bedroom. I had just come home from college for Valentine's Day weekend, and I got a call that Friday saying, "Hey, we need you on Tuesday to be in Baton Rouge to begin boot camp for the Navy and Marines for Greyhound."
Wow.
And, oh, by the way, you'll be working with Tom Hanks for 2 months. So I just remember I just on my knees, just like, oh my God, thank you so much.
Air escort to Greyhound. You will now be out of range of air cover for the next 5 days. Safe travels to England. How many crossings does this make?
This is my first. What did you think of the story and that time in history?
I've always been a history buff, period, more or less regardless of the period. Right before I auditioned for Greyhound, one of my dear friends passed away. He was 99, served in the Pacific and the Navy. So for me, it was not so much a historical piece as it was a tribute to one of my best friends.
We have hits directly on the convoy.
I was watching an interview that Tom did for a separate deal at how similar the times are now, where we're sitting here and going, okay, we don't really know when this COVID stuff is going to end. We're not entirely sure how we're going to navigate it, but we're all in this together to an extent, to this purpose, to get to the end of it. No different than these sailors sitting on this boat in the middle of nowhere going, okay, we have to figure out a way to get the things that Europe needs to survive.
Right.
We got to get it there. Hell or high water. And we get a whole lot of both. We get 90 minutes of both with Greyhound.
Tell us about your character. You play a signalman?
Yes, sir. So I play a signalman second class, and my job was to keep lines of communication open between this great big convoy while allowing us to stay radio silent so that the Nazis couldn't hear us.
Here they come.
Before I let you go, I want to talk more about you and your career personally. I forgot the year, but a critical year in terms of you being on the set of, it wasn't called Talladega Nights at that time.
Texas Ranger, how about you?
Well, the teacher asked me what was the capital of North Carolina. I said Washington, D.C.
Bingo.
Talladega Nights was something that I never intended to be an actor at all. Where I'm from is 9,000 people. My mom's an accountant. My dad does construction work. I wanted to be George Strait, ride bulls, and draw pictures. That's what I wanted to do. A lot of people don't realize that I got saved while filming Talladega Nights, and as a 7-year-old that I, brand new, just got saved. I wasn't comfortable with it. Neither was my family. We're going, okay, we know we're supposed to be here because this is too crazy of a situation to not be of God. Mm-hmm. How do we handle this? And I very vividly remember going up to Adam McKay. And I remember going up to him and saying, Mr. Adam, do we really have to say all this? And he sat me up and looked me in the eyes and said, you never have to do anything that you're not comfortable with.
Let me run through some other films you've been in real quick and just get your reaction. Diary of a Wimpy Kid.
What do you want to do, Frank Heffley? How about Twister? I'm not really that much of a Twister guy. Candy!
I was in middle school. Middle school in a public school is hard enough when you're not in the middle of a franchise called Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And it's even harder when you're playing the strangest kid in the film.
I'll save that for later.
Space Warriors.
I'm gonna die. Piece of cake.
What if I hurl? Keep breathing. Don't hold your breath.
I think I am gonna hurl.
That was a blast. That was the only film I've actually done at home, more or less. I'm from Alabama. We filmed at the Huntsville Space and Rocket Center.
Mother's Day?
Mother's Day. I got my senior year of high school. It's the first week of my senior year of high school. We go in, and I remember on the first day, here we are with Gary Marshall, who is responsible for discovering Julia Roberts, Robin Williams. He created Happy Days. He created Mork and Mindy, Laverne and Shirley. And then on the back end, it being his last film before he passed away, that was an honor.
Looks like a pretty cool movie. You can catch Greyhound streaming right now on Apple TV+. And for more uplifting entertainment, be sure to check out Studio 5 this evening. And you can catch it, as always, Studio 5, right here on the CBN News Channel at 9:30 Eastern. After the break, how police officers in one city are giving back to a woman who showed them an incredible act of kindness. That story in a moment. You don't want to miss it.
If you want to be an attorney with a passion for serving people and for excellence, Regent University needs to be high on your list.
Regent's award-winning law school doesn't just create lawyers. We create leaders, judges, prosecutors and defense lawyers, civil litigators, and leaders in government. Ready to become a purpose-driven, practice-ready lawyer? To start your rewarding career, complete the online application, submit your transcripts, and take the law school admissions test by July.
Nutrition, exercise, essential oils, weight loss, and more. It's Healthy Living with Lori Johnson.
Talk about what's in this.
Join CBN health reporter Lori Johnson to get the latest information from today's top health experts.
This is fantastic.
Find out what you need to know to live a healthier life. Watch Healthy Living, Tuesday night at 9:30.
Woohoo! Hi, Superbook fans. Here's something else you'll love. Whoa! It's the new Superbook Bible app. It's packed with games, activities, and Superbook episodes that you can watch for free. Oh no! There's trivia, a fun daily devotional, and answers to your Bible questions. Plus, an easy-to-understand Bible the whole family will enjoy. You can even create your own Superbook character. Ta-da! Whoa!
Millsburg Falls man.
Sorry, pardon me. Sorry, excuse me. Ouch!
Are you getting this?
Earn super points to win daily prizes too, and so much more. Time to get back to my adventures. See you soon. It's the new Superbook Bible app. Free downloads on iTunes, Google Play, and Amazon.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Here's an inspiring story. Kansas City police are paying it forward after a mother-daughter duo donated their lottery winnings to an officer who was shot in the line of duty. Centera Sims only had $7 to her name when she took a chance at the lottery and bought a $1 scratch ticket, winning $100. Money that would have helped pay her overdue bills. But then her daughter suggested they donate their lucky earnings to the family of a police officer who was recently shot. Sims saying her family's appreciation for the officers stemmed from their own tragedy when her other daughter was killed in October 2012.
The detectives were really there for us. They was there for us more than anyone I can imagine. They did things they didn't have to do. When they came to see my kids, they did a lot. They were father therapists. They were everything.
To hear her call and just express thanks for no reason other than she's thankful, it's really impactful to us, and it's really touching to us.
And to imagine she gave her $100 winnings to give back. Officers made a GoFund account for Sims. So far, it's raised more than $8,000. That's awesome. Well, folks, that's it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. From all of us here from the Christian Broadcasting Network headquarters in Virginia Beach, Virginia, stay cool out there, folks. It's pretty hot. See ya.